Do we need this? Yes? Okay. Okay, good morning. I'm the United States Attorney Jaime Esparza for the Western District of Texas, and I'd like to just take a moment to introduce those who are to my left and my right. Here at the podium to my right is Assistant United States Attorney Eric Fuchs, Sarah Spears, and Amanda Brown to my right. And on my left are the co-directors of Joint Task Force Alpha. They are also Assistant United States Attorneys, Ian Hanna and Jeff Hepburn. And also prosecuting this case that we're going to talk about, but not here today, is Jose Luis Acosta. He's an Assistant United States Attorney, and he works out of El Paso. Plus, another Assistant United States Attorney who is a trial attorney, Alexandria Skinion from the Department of Justice Criminal Division. I appreciate all you joining us this morning for this morning's announcements. It is a significant development in a case that is well known here in San Antonio. This case is the case that's involving the tractor-trailer smuggling incident that resulted in the deaths of 53 migrants on June of 2022. Before I begin, I'm hoping this is going to work. The Principal Deputy Assistant Attorney General, Nicole Argentieri, has provided her remarks from the Department of Justice. And let's see if this works.
Today, the department announces the arrest of Rigoberto Miranda Orozco, a Guatemalan national, for his alleged role in a human smuggling operation that resulted in the tragic deaths of 53 victims, including children, in a tractor-trailer in San Antonio, Texas, in June 2022. According to the indictment unsealed yesterday, Miranda Orozco participated in a human smuggling organization that allegedly used trucks and stash houses to move migrants from Guatemala to Mexico and then across the United States-Mexico border. In the weeks leading up to the June 2022 operation, Miranda Orozco secured payments from migrants who were citizens of Guatemala and then worked with his co-conspirators to smuggle and transport the migrants north from Guatemala. As the indictment lays out, on June 27, 2022, 65 individuals who had made arrangements with the smuggling organization, including children and a pregnant woman, were loaded into a tractor-trailer to be transported. According to the indictment, the trailer's air conditioning was not working properly as it drove north on a Texas interstate. As temperatures rose, some of the migrants inside the trailer allegedly lost consciousness, while others clawed at the walls, trying to escape. By the time the tractor-trailer reached San Antonio, the indictment alleges that 48 migrants had already died. And another 5 migrants died after being transported to local hospitals. Among those that died were 6 children and a pregnant woman. Earlier this week, Guatemalan authorities arrested Miranda Orozco at the request of the United States, along with several other members of the smuggling organization whom the Guatemalan government intends to prosecute in Guatemala. The department is pursuing Miranda Orozco's extradition. His capture is just the latest in a number of arrests of members of the smuggling organization that are responsible for this horrific and fatal event. To date, 4 of these defendants have pleaded guilty. This tragedy serves as a dire warning of the dangers that migrants face when they put their lives in the hands of human smugglers. Smugglers who are willing to expose migrants to life-threatening conditions for their own financial gain. Prosecuting these dangerous organizations is a critical priority for the DOJ. We will continue to work with our domestic and international law enforcement partners to investigate these cases as long as it takes to bring perpetrators to justice. Today's announcement is the result of outstanding work led by members of Joint Task Force Alpha, an interagency collaboration between the Department of Justice and Homeland Security that includes prosecutors in the criminal divisions, human rights and special prosecution section, and the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Western District of Texas. I also want to express my deep appreciation to our key law enforcement partners at Homeland Security Investigations in Texas, Guatemala, and Washington, D.C., whose dedication and skills made yesterday's arrest possible. Finally, I would like to convey my sincere gratitude for the substantial cooperation we received from Guatemalan authorities. Thank you.
So, as you just heard, the Guatemalan law enforcement and military forces successfully conducted an operation yesterday to arrest and detain Rigoberto Roman Miranda Orozco. Prior to yesterday, excuse me. Our investigation led us to indict Miranda Orozco, who allegedly secured paying clients to be smuggled from Guatemala to the United States. Some of these migrants ultimately and tragically were transported to the tractor-trailer incident here in San Antonio. Prior to yesterday, we had arrested 7 other defendants for their involvement in the smuggling operation, including 2 U.S. citizens and 5 Mexican nationals. As you heard just now, 4 of those defendants have pled guilty. The 3 other are set for trial October 21st of this year. Today, our announcement is a significant development in our case involving the tractor-trailer. As our indictment says, Miranda Orozco, the defendant, is allegedly responsible for at least 3 of those deaths out of the 53 people who died in the tractor-trailer. 8 children were in the tractor-trailer. 6 died. A pregnant woman was in the tractor-trailer. She died. In addition to the 53 total deaths, 11 other migrants were injured. Our indictment charges Miranda Orozco with 6 counts, all related to migrant smuggling resulting in death or serious bodily injury. He now faces up to life in prison. We will prosecute Miranda Orozco as aggressively as possible, as we seek justice for those who perished and for those who were injured. Not only do we seek justice for the deceased and those who are injured, but we aim to send a message to others involved in smuggling of humans. Our investigation has led us far beyond our borders, further than the area of San Antonio, and certainly Laredo, to the streets of Guatemala, where we ultimately caught Miranda Orozco. Partnerships among multiple agencies and collaboration with international authorities made this mission happen. I can't state that enough. Our collaboration with multiple agencies and the international authorities is why we're able to make this significant announcement. We will continue to investigate. We will continue to work together. We will continue to hold those who illegally value profit over human life. I'd like to thank Homeland Security Investigations, the San Antonio Division, along with many other supporting law enforcement agencies for their hard work and dedication in this investigation. And I am grateful that the prosecution in this case remains a high priority for the Department of Justice. They continue to commit valuable resources to this case. Joint Task Force Alpha and the Department of Justice have provided significant assistance, including coordination and collaboration with Guatemalan authorities. Their continued efforts, and those are the efforts of the Department of Justice and especially Joint Task Force Alpha, enabled us to identify and bring to justice those who perpetrated this terrible crime, the crime that claimed dozens of lives. It's now my pleasure to welcome Joint Task Force Alpha, the 2 co-directors, both Jim and Ian, who are to my left. Ian will now give you a few remarks. He'll be able to answer questions regarding Joint Task Force Alpha and their involvement in this case. Plus, he will provide additional remarks in Spanish. Ian?
Muy buenos días, Ian Hanna, co-director de la Fuerza Tarea Conjunta Alfa. Le quiero agradecer al señor fiscal federal Esparza la invitación a participar hoy en esta conferencia con ustedes. El Departamento de Justicia de los Estados Unidos, junto con sus socios nacionales e internacionales, ha llevado a cabo una importante operación que desmanteló una red de contrabando de personas con sede en Guatemala. En junio de 2022, esta red contrabandeó personas a Estados Unidos en un viaje que terminó con la muerte de 53 migrantes aquí en San Antonio, Texas. 21 de esos migrantes fallecidos eran guatemaltecos. Ayer, el 21 de agosto, las fuerzas policíacas guatemaltecas cumplieron en territorio guatemalteca con 12 órdenes de cateo y 7 órdenes de detención. Uno de esos sujetos que fue detenido era el ciudadano guatemalteco Rigoberto Ramón Miranda Orozco. Él fue arrestado bajo la solicitud de los Estados Unidos con el fin de ser extraditado aquí a Estados Unidos para enfrentarse a la justicia norteamericana en una corte federal en San Antonio, Texas. Él ha sido acusado en el Distrito Oeste de Texas en relación con esta investigación. Los otros imputados serán procesados en Guatemala. El señor Miranda Orozco, de 47 años, cuya acusación formal se dio a conocer ayer, presuntamente conspiró con otros contrabandistas para facilitar el viaje de 4 migrantes desde Guatemala a través de México y en última instancia a los Estados Unidos. Presuntamente les cobró a estos migrantes o sus familiares o amigos entre $2,000 y $15,000 cada uno por el viaje. La acusación formal alega que 3 de estos migrantes fallecieron en el tráiler y el cuarto sufrió lesiones corporales graves. El señor Miranda Orozco está acusado de 6 cargos relacionados con el tráfico ilícito de migrantes con resultado de muerte o lesiones corporales graves. Se enfrenta a pena máxima de cadena perpetua. La acusación formal contra el señor Miranda Orozco y la cooperación entre las autoridades estadounidenses y guatemaltecas fueron encabezadas por la oficina aquí del señor fiscal federal del Distrito Oeste de Texas y la Fuerza Tarea Conjunta Alfa, JTFA. JTFA fue creada por el fiscal general Merrick Garland en junio de 2021 en asociación con el Departamento de Seguridad Nacional para fortalecer los esfuerzos generales del departamento para combatir estos tipos de delitos. Dado el aumento de prolífico y peligroso contrabando que emana de Centroamérica con efectos en los Estados Unidos, el objetivo de JTFA es interrumpir y desmantelar estas redes. Y estas redes que operan en El Salvador, Guatemala, Honduras, México y recientemente hemos ampliado nuestro portafolio para incluir Colombia y Panamá para enfocarnos en el tapón de Darién. Estas redes ponen en peligro, abusan y explotan y se dedican a aprovecharse de los migrantes y presentan riesgos para la seguridad nacional y estos criminales participan en otros tipos de crimen organizado transnacional. Les quiero comentar que este caso y la investigación relacionada a este caso es uno de los más importantes que manejemos JTFA. Nada sería posible sin el gran esfuerzo y apoyo del señor fiscal federal Esparza y su equipo. Esta oficina ha contribuido en una forma inmensa a cumplir este caso y llevar a estos imputados para que podamos cumplir con la justicia. Esta operación y otros como esta sirven para ampliar la mensaje clave, que es esta. Si usted se dedica a lucrarse de este tipo de contrabando, si se dedica a hacer rendir ganancias de la miseria de gente, y si usted piensa que está a salvo porque se encuentra afuera del territorio nacional de Estados Unidos, está equivocado. Te vamos a buscar, te vamos a investigar y junto con nuestros socios en el extranjero te vamos a enjuiciar, sea allí donde se encuentra o cuando los hechos son apropiados, te vamos a extraditar a Estados Unidos para que se enfrente justicia aquí. Gracias.
Yeah, are there any questions? Yes.
Why isn't everybody being extradited to the U.S.?
How do you want to know that? You want to know? Go ahead.
The short answer is that because the Guatemalans have their own case, and here in the United States, here in the Western District, is a separate case, right? They're based around the same facts, but the Guatemalans are going to prosecute the folks that they have the best evidence on, and we're going to prosecute the folks that we have the best evidence on. That's the short answer. I don't know if you want.
Arauco, no, si me puedes contestar. Arauco, con la detención de Arauco, ¿termina de alguna manera este peligro o es Arauco parte de otro grupo al que hay que destruir, por decir una palabra?
Orozco.
Orozco,
No, go ahead. You want to respond in Spanish? En español.
Bueno, lo que le puedo decir es que este señor Orozco, nombrado en la acusación aquí en este Distrito Federal, es parte de esta red y es parte de un complot, una conspiración que se dedica al tráfico ilícito de migrantes. Ese es el enfoque de la acusación.
¿Él es el cabecilla de ese grupo?
Es miembro.
¿Es miembro de?
Sí.
¿Hay más gente alrededor de?
Sí, la acusación tiene más, acusa a más gente, ¿verdad? Él es miembro de la conspiración.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Orozco, one of 7 total men arrested yesterday.
Yes, you want to answer that? Eric?
And can you tell us how do you guys break the tracking down in Guatemala?
Go ahead.
So yes, there were 7 individuals arrested yesterday, 6 that are going to be prosecuted in Guatemala, and then Rigoberto Miranda Orozco, who we've requested extradition on, and will be working in the coming months to secure his presence here to face the charges that were brought here in San Antonio. He's one of 7, correct. Can't discuss the details of how exactly he was found or apprehended yesterday, but it was an effort by many parties led by the Guatemalan authorities to make that a successful arrest.
So back to the extradition. I'm actually from Mexico. I know how jails operate there and in Guatemala. And jails there are severely different than they are here. Usually they have cell phones. Some of them live next to you. So are you guys trusting Guatemala to, persecute these people? Like, I guess I'm not understanding why we can't extradite all of them if these
I got
people died in the U.S.
I think the answer that Mr. Hanna gave you was pretty complete, but they have the best evidence on the 6 defendants. We have the evidence on Miranda Orozco, so we're going to go forward. I have to tell you that we are extremely pleased and grateful for the coordination and cooperation with the Guatemalan authorities. This would not have been possible without their assistance. And so we have no question in our mind that those that they prosecute in Guatemala will get the justice they deserve in Guatemala, and we are certainly going to aggressively prosecute Miranda Orozco for the offenses that he committed.
So if you guys are working so closely with them, can't Guatemala give you guys evidence that you guys need to extradite them and charge them and persecute them here?
I don't know how to, other than to tell you, is that we think that the smart way to go to make sure that everyone receives the justice they deserve is to allow the Guatemalans to deal with the 6 defendants that they're going to deal with, and that we deal with the Miranda Orozco here in the Western District.
So are all 7 involved in the deaths of the 3 migrants that you believe that are connected to the
You want to answer that?
here?
Go ahead.
Or is it just Miranda Orozco?
So unfortunately, we can't comment on the investigation in Guatemala and on their targets, so I won't be able to address that directly. I will just go back to your question and add to that the fact that one of the force multipliers of JTFA is our ability to capitalize on our relationships with countries like Guatemala. So we work hand in hand with the line level prosecutors, and we strategize about how best to address targets within that country. In this case, we came to the conclusion that our evidence was best on Miranda Orozco, and we we share information with Guatemala just as they share information with us, so we both can get to the best result.
So what makes him different than the other six that were arrested? Why is the U.S. prosecuting him specifically and not the other six?
I can't comment on the details of that, but it was a strategic decision made after looking at the evidence in the United States and in Guatemala.
You say strategy, but I mean, 53 people died. I guess I'm still not understanding what part of the strategy, makes him different, or what gives us, I guess, entitlement to persecute him specifically.
As court proceedings go forward, you'll get more details about the evidence against Mr. Miranda Orozco.
Este es el cierre ya de la, este es para nosotros, no recuerdo por ahora.
Ian Hanna.
Bien. Con esto se cierra el capítulo de los 53 migrantes que mueren aquí en San Antonio, o todavía sigue. ¿En dónde estamos ahorita?
Bueno, no le puedo comentar sobre si hay o no hay más pasos investigativos que se van a llevar a cabo, pero lo que le puedo decir es hay una acusación. Eso le da los detalles sobre los imputados en ese documento. Y como dijo mi socio Jim, cuando empezamos a tomar los pasos en frente de un juez durante un juicio, muchos de los detalles se van a revelar y en ese momento vamos a poder comentar más.
Y simplemente para decirlo en español, la razón principal por la que Orozco está aquí y los otros no es
La evidencia. Nosotros vamos donde nos lleva la evidencia y los hechos. ¿Sí?
So are you including all 7 of them in their involvement of the 53 migrants or just Orozco?
So as the indictment charges, we've charged that Mr. Miranda Orozco, in the weeks leading up to June 27th, he worked to secure paying clients down in Guatemala. Once he had enough for his next smuggling venture, he coordinated with other co-conspirators to transport and harbor those people from Guatemala up through Mexico to Nuevo Laredo, where they eventually crossed in the United States. As we've charged, we've linked 4 of his smuggling clients ended up on the back of that tractor trailer that day on that fatal trip, 3 of who eventually died.
With the other 6 that were arrested, you guys don't have sufficient evidence to connect them to the 50.
We can't comment on the details of the Guatemalans' investigation, but we can link and have charged Mr. Miranda Orozco with 4 migrants that he specifically originated and coordinated the transportation of, 3 of who ended up perishing.
Do you guys expect to make more arrests? And then my second question is, you guys keep talking about a message for these smugglers. What is that message that you want smugglers to take away from this?
I think the message is that we will pursue you. We will pursue you whether you're hiding here in the United States or you're hiding elsewhere. We'll use all our resources in order to make sure that we seek you down and ensure that the migrants who you abuse and take advantage of will be held accountable. The most significant part, I think, is not just that we have Miranda Orozco here in the Western District. It is that we were able to, with the help of JTF Alpha and the team here, that we were able to coordinate with international agencies to make sure that we continued the investigation and pursue those who are responsible for what happened here in San Antonio, the deaths of the 53 at the trailer. And so that is a huge thing, that we have such international cooperation. So the message is, if you seek to profit off the backs of these migrants over their livelihood, we will pursue you. And we are going to make sure that justice is had, not just for those, in this case, who died or those who were injured, but it's a community issue as well. And it is a huge event for us. Why we asked you all to be here is the cooperation that we have, not just within the United States, but also internationally.
And do you expect to make more arrests, or is this it?
We're not able to comment on the investigation as it continues. Yes, ma'am.
It sounds like he's pretty down on the totem pole, right? Like if he's just finding clients and collecting payment, that's again pretty down on the totem pole. So I'm still confused as to why here in the U.S. we're not getting somebody extradited that maybe had a bigger part and is like
Okay, my comment, don't take my comment to affirm anything that you just said regarding his role or his participation. That will come out in the case. But do not forget that we have 4 have pled guilty and 3 are set for trial on October 21st. We are aggressively pursuing those who are responsible for what happened at the trailer, what happened when we lost 53 people in June of 2020. I'm sorry, 2020, just 20,
I think we had a question from
2022? 2022.
Yes, no, I have a question. So the Guatemalan police characterized Orozco as a ringleader in all of their press releases. Is that how the U.S. DOJ and U.S. Attorney's Office would characterize it?
I think we're going to stick to our indictment. The indictment speaks for itself. And so, we are not commenting other than what you'd hear us comment in court as this case proceeds.
And as I understand it, those charges are specifically tied to individuals that you were able to connect to this smuggling.
Right, and that is exactly what Mr. Fuchs answered was exactly, he was tracking the indictment exactly as written.
How many migrants did he recruit into Guatemala?
You want to answer that? I think it's 3.
Yeah, we've charged 4 in the indictment.
And 3 of them died.
Yes.
One more question. Do you have one, Miguel?
As Joint Task Force Alpha expands its investigation into Colombia, Panama, to also look at trafficking in the area now, what does this mean? Are we going to see more arrests? Are we going to see, the discovery of more human smuggling rings? And what does it mean for the migrants who can survive?
When did the AG stand wrong?
3 years ago, 2021.
Okay. I'm going to let Mr. Hanna respond, but before he does that, let me just tell you that we are very proud of the success of JTF Alpha. It is something the Attorney General, Garland, stood up, something he thought was important to address issues just like this, incidents just like this one, and we've had really tremendous success. And the beauty of JTF Alpha is the ability for us, at least, and I'm not a big fan of this word, this force multiplier, but it allows us to reach beyond our borders. It allows us to get international cooperation. So I wouldn't anticipate that you'll see from us other cases where we were able to be successful because of JTF Alpha and the relationships they've built with other countries. But I'll let
So generally speaking, JTFA, the reason we were created and what our mandate is to go after organizations at an enterprise level, right? So if you're looking at the equivalent of like a drug cartel, it would be the cartel leaders. That's who we're looking after, the leaders of these rings that are dedicated to illegal migrant smuggling and human trafficking. To answer your question directly about the expansion into Panama and Colombia, focusing on the Darien Gap, that was announced a few months ago by the Attorney General in recognition of the tremendous increase in flow of people through the Darien Gap. Right? If we're going to see more arrests and investigations, I can tell you this: there is, we hope so. We have currently an $8 million reward program for information leading to the identification and arrest of Clan de Golfo cartel. That's a Colombian cartel leaders responsible for trafficking illegally people through the Darien Gap. So, that should give you an example of the level of commitment that we've put in to this project, and we're hoping, obviously, that yields results, and that we can not only pay out that $8 million, but identify people and prosecute them either in Colombia or Panama or here in the United States.
Again, thank you all for coming. We certainly appreciate the opportunity to give you this, what we think is a very significant event in this case. And I would like to especially thank the team, not only the team here in the Western District in San Antonio, but also JTF Alpha for everything they've done to move this case forward. So thank you.
Yes, so there will be a press release